Hi everybody, this is Max with Enlight Automotive. Today we have this brand new Polaris Slingshot, and I'm going to show you guys how to install Xenon headlights into the low beams, and we're also going to go ahead and change the fog lights over to LED. The first thing that you're going to want to do is open the hood, push down on this tab there, and then once it's unlatched on the top, pull the whole thing back. It takes quite a bit of effort. So don't be afraid to put some muscle into it. And where we're going to be working here is the low beam, which is an H3 bulb, and we're also going to do the fog lights over there, which are an H8 bulb. So we'll go ahead and get started with the installation. Let's go take a look at the components that we're going to be putting into this vehicle. Now we're looking at all the components that are going to come with the Enlight massive photon generator HID system for the Slingshot here. It is going to come with two high-quality 35-watt Enlight ballasts. It's going to come with two 6000K H3 bulbs. It'll come with some mounting brackets and also some bolts. Now, just for reference, before we change anything over, let's just get a baseline value for what the factory lights look like. Now, the camera isn't going to fully pick up the color. These just look like a standard halogen bulb like you see on most of the cars on the road. But let's go ahead and put the HID system in the LEDs and see how it looks after that. We're going to start on the driver's side of the vehicle here. So, to install the HID bulbs first, that's what we're going to do, is we're going to remove this cap here just by getting our fingers under the back side and pulling straight back. It might take a little bit of effort, but this will expose the bulb here, right? And now you want to go ahead and disconnect this cable. It helps to cut the zip tie, so I'm going to cut the zip tie, take this plug here, disconnect it, which is pretty simple. You just lift up on those tabs there and then pull it out. So I'm going to disconnect these two things, and to remove the bulb, let's see if we can get it in there. There's these two wire clips there. Let's get better focus. Maybe. There's two wire clips there. To get that out, you want to push it. You're going to push one side down and in, like that. Or you can use a flathead screwdriver for this if your fingers won't fit in there. And then the bottom side you push down and up. That will release the clips, and that will loosen the bulb. So once you disconnect this, you might cut the zip tie. Take these clips off, everything will come out. So once you've got the bulb out there, there's one more thing left to do. This is one of the ground wires here. You're going to want to pull on that white tab, pull it straight back. Let's see if I can do this here. Just wiggle it out, pops out like that, and now the whole assembly will come out. So to properly fit and install the bulbs, there's really kind of two ways to do it. One way is going to be easier and doesn't require you to mess around with de-pinning any connectors. The other way is more difficult, but it will make for a more clean install, and it will be better for waterproofing. So the easy way to do it is to cut about a 25 millimeter or 1 inch hole in the back here, and then thread the bulbs through, and you use this rubber grommet as kind of a seal to prevent water from getting in. Then you take the H3 connectors, connect it up to where the factory bulbs are, the factory bulb connectors are, which is this white one and the yellow one here, and then you call it good, you put it back in. But I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to take these wires out here. I'm going to de-pin the high voltage line connectors on the bulb and thread these blue and red wires through the factory locations here. And this will allow us to get the optimum waterproofing for this system, and it's also going to make for the cleanest install. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Alright, so you're going to need some type of wire cutters. Yes, we're going to cut some wires here, but in the name of high quality installations, we're going to do it. So first, you're going to take your cutters and go ahead and cut these two wires off somewhere around the base. Just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to pull these wires out of here, and this frees up some space for us to put the HID bulbs in. And again, I don't know why you would want to keep a halogen bulb anyways, so we're going to be sticking with HIDs through the life of the vehicle. Now what we're going to do is get rid of this rubber grommet and also get rid of the extra wires that are on this, because we're not going to be using the rubber grommet. To do this, you can use a razor blade. Very carefully use a razor blade to just slice through the silicone seal here, or you can use a wire cutter, which is what I'm going to do. I'll go ahead and take these wires out and then just show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, here you can see I made two cuts, one on the high voltage red wire and the high voltage blue wire. And now I'm just going to slide out these wires here. It's kind of a challenge to do with one hand, but I'll get it. There you go. And we're not going to use these wires here. And you'll just be left with this. Again, you don't have to do it this way. You can do it the other way if you want, but this is definitely going to be the way to go if you want the cleanest and the most weatherproof installation. So a lot of people don't know how to de-pin connectors. Sometimes it can be a challenge. There are definitely connectors that are challenging to de-pin. And actually, these ones, if you do it the way that they were designed, is relatively tricky to do. So when we de-pin a connector, we're going to take this black thing off the wire and just expose the bare pins. And to do that, you can see there's a red piece of plastic in there. We're actually going to pull that out. The traditional way to do it would be to use kind of a hooked tool, stick it in the square on the right side, and then try to pull it out. But I found that to be very difficult, and it takes me a while to do. In the midst of frustration, I found a much easier way to do it from the backside. So you can see the yellow silicone seal in there, and what you're going to do is you're going to take a pick, a straight pick, something relatively straight. This one's been used and abused, so it's kind of bent. But you're just going to take a straight pick with a point on it. Oh, it doesn't have to have a point, it just needs to be thin and straight. And you're going to insert the pick on the top side of the yellow seal. So in between the yellow seal and the black connector. Don't insert it between the red wire and the yellow seal. Insert it in between the yellow seal and the black connector. And when you do that, you're basically going to push. You're going to push your pick all the way through. It's going to hit that red tab inside, or the red piece of plastic, and it'll just pop it out. It's really easy to do. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you what it looks like. There you go. You can see that I've taken this red tab out. Try not to lose this, because this locks the pin into place. So keep that in a safe place. You can see that now we've exposed the pin. Now that it's out. Okay, so the other part that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pull the pin out. This is really difficult to pick up on camera, but if you look very carefully on the top side of the metal pin, so there's a metal pin, on the top side of that, there is another plastic tab. What this is, it's basically a lever. So you're going to take your straight pick, you're going to put it on top, slide it on top of the pin, and then push it up towards the top side of the connector in this particular view. I'm going to try to get this on camera so you guys can see. Okay, so here's the connector again. Let's try to get as focused as possible. On the left hand side, there's that tab we were just talking about. I have it rotated so it's easier for me to pull the wire out after I do this. Here's my pick. I'm going to slide the pick on the left side of the pin all the way back to that lever. I'm going to push it towards the left side. Let's see here. Push it towards the left side. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then you're going to pull back on the wire. Just like that. Now, with this much smaller diameter to work with, we can actually fit it through the factory cover here. Here's the other connector. This one's much easier to do than the other one. They're both easy once you know how to do it, but generally speaking, just take your pick, insert it in between the black plastic. Let's get a little closer here maybe. Between the black plastic and the red piece, and you're going to pull the red piece out just like that. So once you got the tab, you can take your pliers. It might take a little bit of force, but you can wiggle this out and then pull straight back, and it will come out. Now, I've already depinned this connector because it's really difficult to do on camera because you can't really see the tabs. So I've already depinned this one. Here's what it looks like. This is what the other metal connector looks like. One's male, one's female. And it is very similar to the other one in that I'll try to get some light in there. There is a plastic tab in there. Maybe you can't see it on camera, but there's a tab where you slip in your pick and you lift the tab up towards this side of the connector, and then you pull back on the wire and it should come out. This one's a little bit more difficult to actually take the pin out, but it comes out in the same manner as the other one. Okay, so once you get that, you're left with these two wires here, and we will then thread these into the factory seal. Okay, so here's the seal that we just talked about, and now remember there's only two wires here, or two wire holes I should say, and we're going to thread the red and the blue one into either side. It doesn't matter. What you're going to do is just take one of the pins and feed it into the hole. It will be a little stiff, but once you get it protruding from the side, grab it and push and pull at the same time. There's one. And there you go. Once they're through, this gives you a perfect waterproof seal, just like factory. Now you can just pull them through like that. One more thing, make sure that when you're doing this, you always leave this bulb cover on. You don't want the bulb dangling around, hitting your countertop or whatever, breaking. But now, at this point, we can put the connectors back on, and we'll be ready to put it back in the vehicle after that. Now to put the connectors back on, they go in the reverse order for the installation. Starting with the blue wire here, you're going to take this plug, this is the one that we just depinned last, line it up. You got to get the orientation right or else it won't go in, but you're going to line it up. You might have to wiggle it around and just push on the wire and it'll go in. It'll lock in place just like that. Now, make sure you don't lose your red locking tabs. Take that, put it right back in, just push on it. Easy as that. Same thing with the other one. Take your plastic connector, get it lined up correctly, which in this case will be like this for me. Oh, maybe I have this one backwards here. There we go. This one's much easier. Okay. Both of them are in. Take the other red locking tab. I'm going to have to do this vertical so you won't be able to see it, but you're going to drop it in. Sometimes it helps to take your pick just to line it up in the right orientation here. There you go, like that. Once you get it lined up on the pin, just push it straight back, lock it in place, and that's it. Now is the time to take the plastic cover and foam protectors off the bulb, and we're going to put it into the socket. So there's kind of a round, there's a squared, a rectangular slot there, and there's a round slot on one side. Just match that up with the correct orientation in the actual housing here. Alright, and once you do that, take the wire clips and snap them back into the place using the reverse process that you use to take them out. It might help to have a flathead screwdriver to do this, but once it's all locked in place, try to get better focus there. It should look like that. Bulb's nice and secure, it's in the correct orientation, and we're ready to move on to the next step. Pull the red and blue wires down a little bit to take up the slack inside the housing here, and once you do that, just wiggle it back into place, just like factory, get it on there nice, and there you go. That's one side done. The passenger side is going to be identical, so I'm going to go do all the stuff on the passenger side, make it look exactly like this. All the connectors are going to be the same, and after that we'll move on to the ballast. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys a really cool way to mount the Enlight ballasts. It's almost as if these ballasts were made specifically for this vehicle. There's a really cool way to mount it, and I think it'll only work with this particular ballast. Any other ballast in the market won't fit this perfect. But what you're going to do is there's a good space here. That's where we just were before. If you on the right side of that, there's a good space here where you can actually slip. You can slip the ballast in, or you can just you slip the ballast in into that pocket there. And if you look up top, let's get it lined up. You can see. You can see that there's this nice rectangular space to put this ballast here. And all you're going to do is wedge it up just like that. It's just a really nice snug fit. When you feel it, you'll be like, oh yes, this is awesome. And this sits in here. I'm not even holding it. It's nice and tight. But now what we're going to do is take the bolts that come with the kit with a washer, thread them into the pre-tapped holes. These ballasts will come pre-tapped for you. There's one. Set it down a little bit and then push it down just so it sits on the bolt there, right? And now you can actually clamp it in place. Just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put the other one in, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all finished. So there I've put 2 bolts in. Let's get a little closer here. And take a 10mm wrench or a socket wrench or something, and then just snug them down. So we're actually clamping down on this black metal bracket here. The ballast is already super snug when wedged in this pocket here, but just for added security, to make sure nothing moves around or doesn't shake loose when you're going over bumps and stuff, we just put the bolts in to clamp it onto this black bracket, and that's it. So from the other side, this is what it looks like when it's mounted. Now to make the connections is super easy. So the long cable that comes off the ballast, these are going to connect to the bulbs. So you can take these connectors, plug them in here, that only go in one way. And it's actually very nice because the ballast connector, the ballast power connector here, will plug directly in to the car's factory headlight socket. It's a perfect length, everything goes together. This has to be one of the most convenient installs I've ever done in terms of mounting the brackets in kind of an OEM-like location and all the connectors fitting up and things like that. So I'm going to make all those connections, and then the last thing you're going to want to do is tuck everything away in this area down here. There's space to put the igniter, and use zip ties to secure all the wires to this location here. I'm going to wrap everything up, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. One thing I forgot to mention here is the polarity of the power connector to the ballast needs to be correct. So the ballasts are set up, maybe you can see it here, there's a plus on the right side and minus on the left side, and it just so happens that this vehicle has that polarity reversed. So in order to make the ballast turn on, you're actually going to have to flip it upside down like that and then plug it in. So that way you match up on this particular vehicle, the wire is yellow, and you want to match up the yellow with the positive side, and go ahead and connect that to the ballast like that, and that one should come on. So I've secured all the wires here. I mounted the igniter. I mounted the igniter behind this circle bracket, which is this thing here. The igniter is, it's hard to see here, is right there. So it's nice and secure down with some zip ties. It's not going to go anywhere. Just tidy these things up here. Makes for a nice clean install. Now the passenger side is exactly the same. You do the same things. The wiring is the same. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the passenger side, and we'll turn them on and see how it looks. Just to show you that everything's the same. Mounted the ballast in the same location, hooked all the wires up just the same, got everything installed here. And again, same with the driver's side. You got to flip this connector around in order for the lights to turn on to make sure that the polarity is correct. Alright, so with that, we've got our lights on here. Just so we can see what's going on, let's close the hood gently here. And there we go. There we are. I haven't changed the fogs over to LEDs yet. I'm going to do that next. You can check out our other video to see how that's done. But as far as the HIDs go, we got this nice crystal white, pure white light. It's much brighter than factory. This HID system produces 3,000 lumens per bulb. So it's a total of 6,000 lumens. You'll get much better nighttime lighting. And also, because they're in factory projectors, you're going to get a pretty clean cutoff band as well. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment below. But other than that, go ahead and enjoy your lights.